Blog Talk Radio.
Sounds like we had some technical difficulty. Time now is 10 minutes past the hour. We are 10 minutes late on the start time, but glad that everyone could make the show, listen to the show. We want to welcome you. I am Ted Hicks, and I want to thank everyone for being patient, number one. But you're listening to the LMP show, as I mentioned, the real Ted Hicks on Twitter. Coming to you live from Long Island, New York. Snowmageddon, capital of the world. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff going on here in the Northeast this past few days. Metro North being turned down, MTA being turned off. I mean, it was kind of like, I felt kind of had the feeling of Ghostbusters. Like the world was coming to an end. You go into a supermarket, boom. But I want to let you know, first and foremost, I want to say what's up to my Islanders. You're the last professional sports team here at Long Island, and you're leaving me in a few months. But we want to let you know the next 60 minutes are live, and it emanates from the satellite office of the Happy Hour Network. As you know, the headquarters are in beautiful Oak Ridge, Tennessee. To those who are streaming the show live, thank you to our BTR listeners. The number to call in is 347-857-1947. To our partners, our radio partners that we love you so much, we're always in contact. The folks at Live Improvement Radio, UNIR One Radio, RF Sports Radio, FSC Radio, the 405 Media. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention I-95 Sports. Thanks again last week, Bobby Blackjack, for the LMP Marathon. There were 14 hours streaming live off the I-95 Sports Network. To our folks that are, I guess we're in negotiations with TRS 24/7 Radio in New York, Cyber Station in Massachusetts, and our friends at VOD Recordings. You guys are in the queue. And if you're listening to a mobile device, nationally or internationally, we say thank you. First and foremost, to TIS and XRP Radio in the UK, IDVIP TV in Canada, and Cindy at Starlight Radio in New Zealand. I forgot to mention something. We're on iHeartRadio now, powered by the good folks of NGSC Sports. I wish I would have had that Funk That's the Flex bomb to go off. But tonight's episode is called Super Bowl Sunday Fun Day. We got this episode from my friends at Barbershop Sports many, many moons ago when we were doing the Super Bowl show there. So shout out to Big Hez, first and foremost. I was on the phone with you earlier. We got three wonderful guests coming on. Aris Persidis, the inventor of the mobile app called Gridiron Mo. We're going to learn about that. A friend to the room, Sharona from Sports by Sharona. You know, of course, she's the official NFL reporter for NFL Female. She also writes for Players Insiders and co-hosts NFL Zone Blitz. She's also the editor of sportsbysharona.com, and she's going to have some information for us, potentially talking about a new radio show. And last but not least, Bat and Cleanup. I mean, I know you're actually our third guest, but I'll just say Cleanup. The Paul Allen of the Happy Hour Network joins us to talk about some initiatives going on in Happy Hour, the Super Bowl pregame show, and all the above. But as always, we want to thank our friends, our listeners, and all the folks that have supported us. With that, I'm going to play a brief promo that you'll hear a couple of times tonight. And then from there, the next voice you'll hear is Aris Persidis from the Gridiron Mo app.
Hey Todd, did you know there was a Super Bowl preview on the Happy Hour Network this Sunday at 10 a.m.?
Why no, I did not know that, Lee. As a matter of fact, I had no idea whatsoever. Please elucidate.
He's going to throw down the middle. He's got a man. Come on! Game over!
I believe it's between the Seahawks and the Packers. The Patriots have been suspended.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert in footballs. I'm not an expert in football measurements.
Like an alcoholic Cadbury. I heard they've been relegated to Arena Football League too.
No, they cheat there too.
Ah, my bad.
And we're back, folks. First guest for this evening, a good friend from, I'm not sure which part of Virginia, but he's going to clear it up with us. We're going to talk about the Gridiron Mo app. It's the first app with a live fan vote during live football games. You can call, plays, vote, and win. And our first guest for the night is Aris Persidis. Aris, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ted. Good evening. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm sorry about the slight delay. We had a couple of issues, and it is funny because the IT person has technical issues. So I don't know. I guess that's an oxymoron. But we're glad to have you on the show tonight.
I think you can always blame Blizzardgate. That's a good thing going on there now.
If it's not Deflategate, Snowmageddon, Blizzardgate, whatever you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Deflategate is over and done now. I think it's Snowmageddon and Blizzardgate. I love that.
That's what it was. I think I was tussling, Aris, with the internet provider just before the start of the show, and I don't know what happened. But glad to have you on because you have a wonderful story. You and I met, I would say, through social media, through Twitter, and we just started chatting, and that's the beautiful thing about social media. It allows you to move beyond those barriers and connect with all different types of interesting and wonderful people like yourself.
Well, thank you, and it's amazing when it works, isn't it? It's amazing when it doesn't work, too, but I'm grateful for all those youngins that put together the social media that all the rest of us are now able to take care of and benefit from. Awesome, isn't it?
Totally awesome. So I guess we'll get right into it because, and here's the full disclosure, you were kind enough to grant me access to your app. And I don't know if you noticed, but I opted out of it, and I wanted to support you, and I purchased the app. And I got to tell you, two weeks ago during the championship, I had a pretty good time. So tell us about the concept. Tell us I guess when you guys were in a back room coming up with the idea, give us the genesis of the Gridiron Mo app, Aris.
Well, absolutely, Ted. And first and foremost, obviously, thank you very much for having me on the show. And I just also wanted to give a shout-out to, I don't know Lee, who's going to be on your show later on, but I hear great things about him and what he does. And, of course, Sharona. I do know, and we do know Sharona. Ron and I know Sharona. And she is simply awesome, Sharona, in what she does. And a shout-out to her. I look forward to her segment with you later on. So you asked the key question, what was the genesis of Gridiron Mo? And I'm its co-creator. My wife and I, it's a family business. We figured this out over the last few months. But it's funny. It all started a couple of years ago. We live in Denver, and, of course, Broncos fans. And we were watching that yet another dreadful game where we were playing the Ravens. And whoever won was going to go on to the Super Bowl. And, of course, the Ravens did, and the rest is history. But there was this play that everybody remembers, and cries about here in Denver when Manning took a knee, and everybody was yelling at the TV, including ourselves, don't take the knee, just throw the ball, do a shotgun, a play action, some kind of anything, just don't take the knee. And he did, and the rest was history. Little did we know, Ted, in our brains that was the origin of the gridiron mow idea. And what is the idea? Instead of simply yelling at the TV, which you should always do because that's a great thing to do, well, imagine if you're sitting on your, and you have your app as you're yelling at the TV, and you can actually call the play live during the down. And then you can see what everybody else is thinking, and you can all yell together. Wouldn't it be simply awesome to do that? And that was the genesis of the idea. That single game and that single down in that knee. Amazing, isn't it?
Totally amazing. I got to tell you that I was in an airport coming back from Charlotte when that game was taking place, and I saw Manning, go down on the knee. I saw basically everything. Like, the lights were just darkened in the stadium when the Ravens, took that victory. But I got to tell you that
the lights were sucked out of Denver. Yeah.
I got to tell you that. So 2 weeks ago, I was a little skeptic, Aris. I didn't know what to think. I was like, oh, well, this is another mobile app. Okay, I'll give it a shot. And I was amazed by how well developed it was, where there's so many different scenarios. Whether, if I wanted to be the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, it was kind of like, hey, pick your play on what's going to happen next. And I got to tell you, really ingenious.
Well, thank you. And, we owe a lot to the inspiration that's already out there. And it's interesting you talk about the offense and the defense. One of the hardest parts to develop and to put into the app was which offense plays should we include and which defense plays should we include. And it was really interesting, Ted, because we started learning a heck of a lot more about the game of football than we ever knew just by researching this a little bit more. And by the way, that gave us the idea about the education bit around football that's going to happen during the off season. And if you want, I'll comment on that. But it was really interesting, Ted. It turns out, we didn't know that. I'm sure you do and your listeners do and so on, but we didn't know that because we're not that expert in it. But there are over 600 to 700 different offense plays and probably about 100 unique defense plays. Amazing, isn't it? So we spent a ton of time trying to figure out which would be the ones that we should include. Because you or I or everybody else who's playing Gridiron Mo is not going to have the time to scroll through, 600 or 700 offense plays during the 10 seconds that you have in order to vote and see what's going on. You know what I mean? Amazing.
Totally amazing. Totally. And, I'm not really sure where to go from here because, like I said, app was very impressive. But I'm going to tie in this piece. What's going to happen on Sunday is more than 170 million people will watch this game because it's more than a game. It's an event. And I will tell you, when the tournament started about a month ago, that's when you saw viewership really pick up and really skyrocket. And at the same time, I was on the app a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow. There's, the number of folks that were actually logged in and participating with this app was just phenomenal. I was kind of taken back by it. And I said, okay, how does an app like this that doesn't get that much press kind of, get out there amongst the folks? What's your marketing team doing?
That's an excellent and awesome question. And we actually begin with a very simple idea that we have the utmost respect for the person who's watching and enjoying sports and football and who will give us the time of day. We begin with that. We respect each and every single person that will think about us, will download the app, will play it, will tell their friends. And we're focused on that one person. And if they can enjoy themselves and go on and tell some others, then we